can be particularly toxic and a catalyst for developing and emboldening your narcissistic adult child. Lots of narcissistic adults, we look back, they were just sort of spoiled at a certain window of time. But at the end of the day, here's the deal. You can't unring a bell. And now it is the present time, and you are dealing with an unempathic, entitled, grandiose, demanding, arrogant, invalidating, gaslighting, manipulative, insecure, hypersensitive adult child who has a very big chip on their shoulder. You likely started hearing these hoofbeats in adolescence, the sullenness, the meanness, the cruel comments, the entitlement. And many people may have told you, it's just adolescence, teenagers are tough. And you know what? I don't fault them for saying that, because it's not necessarily an inaccurate stance. It's often true. And as the responsibilities and roles of adulthood set in, that teenage angst and struggle fades, and the person stops with their entitled teenage antics and they start adulting. But in some cases, it never ends. The entitlement, the resentment, the victimhood, the hostility, the manipulation, those styles persist well into adulthood. And all of it gets delivered with the iron hand of, you owe me after failing me as a parent. And if you fall for that manipulation, it's going to be a long, awful ride. The sort of signature move of narcissistic adult children is to keep asking for money or some other similar kind of resource. Their hand may be outstretched every time you turn around. Rent money, money to buy a car, money for a wedding, money for yet another failed educational experience, money for some half-baked business idea, money for a house. And if you are caught up in the sort of strange trauma bond that can occur with an adult child, as well as the paralyzing guilt that you're somehow responsible, you may keep giving in, thinking that this time, if I give them the money, they will finally feel like life is fair, I did right by them, and they'll finally get on their feet and feel independent and start their life, and we'll be okay. We'll have that healthy adult-parent relationship. Nah, that's not gonna happen. And that's the tragedy of narcissism. Money ain't gonna fix it. Their entitlement is such that they do not feel that they need to work hard and that they should just somehow get the money and somehow magically their half-baked business idea will work out. And if it doesn't work out, they will blame you. And once you give them money for a car or a house or some other big ticket item, or to get them out of a mess that they've made, pretty soon thereafter, they will be upset because they want a better one, they want a bigger one, or they will not take care of or upkeep the one that they got. I have observed parents of narcissistic children put themselves in literal financial peril, which gets really problematic as you as a parent veer to older age, perhaps living on a more fixed income, may end up having unexpected costs of all kinds, healthcare, unexpected emergencies, and I can trust me on this one, please. Your narcissistic child will be nowhere to be found when you need any kind of help at that point. If you're lucky, one of your healthier children, whom you may not have even given nearly the same level of financial support, may step in and help out. Or, and I got to tell you, I've seen this happen many times, you'll end up financially tapped out and in an impossible situation because your narcissistic child cleaned you out financially. Now, narcissistic children frequently play the victim, most commonly blaming you and what they allege to be your bad parenting. Or maybe they blame you for staying in a bad marriage, and they blame all of that for their misery and their failings as an adult. And yeah, maybe a little bit of that is true, we'll give them that. But here's the thing, adulthood is about stepping up and finally taking responsibility and not shifting blame. Once they recognize, though, a narcissistic adult child recognizes that their guilt-inducing manipulations are working, then you will become their financial and emotional ATM and their punching bag. And this victimhood may also result in their failure to launch, in part because they're so entitled that they feel magically everything should just go their way and they're owed their big break as adults. And you may be stuck, if you decide to enable them as such, having them living in your home or garage or basement or guest house if you're so blessed, and listening to their verbal abuse with them blaming you for why they're still sleeping in their childhood bedroom or in your home. And in most cases, once you stop the money or you stop giving them access to limitless funds, they're going to no longer come around. And though you will have to endure an endless litany of angry emails, angry texts, angry voicemails. And trust me, if you let them down by not giving them money, they may also try to launch a smear campaign amongst family members and other people who know you and make up falsehoods about what you did or said to rally support behind them. You'd be surprised, your friends will call you and say, hey, what's going on? And that adds to your devastation and isolation. And trust me, if you let them stay with you, they will never help with chores or cleaning or any of that. Now, these dynamics also wreak havoc on the rest of the family because the narcissistic adult child often has at least one parent that they've placed firmly in a manipulative corner. So it has all the features of any adult narcissistic relationship. The narcissistic adult child may isolate the parent they're manipulating from other family members. They may even coax that parent into giving them things like power of attorney or other financial powers, such as the executorship of a family trust or will. Narcissistic adult children may also get access to the parent's bank accounts or other financial resources, and they will rationalize this to the parent and other people by saying, hey, I'm the one who's living close to mom or dad, and I'm taking care of them, so this is my right. Again, that entitlement. Their parent, the parent of an adult narcissistic child, may often become quite confused, as we all do in narcissistic relationships. They may make justifications for their adult child, and they may even get angry at other siblings who call out their narcissistic sibling. Because the narcissistic sibling will so often triangulate and launch a smear campaign against his or her siblings, you can see how quickly an adult parent could fall under the sway of a narcissistic adult child, especially as they become more isolated and more dependent on that adult narcissistic child. Not only does all of this relate to resources while the parent is alive, they're spending the parent's money, they're getting, for example, they might get their name on the deed to a house or other big ticket items, cars, etc. But the narcissistic adult can wreak havoc and will wreak havoc when it comes to family trusts, wills, estates, and family businesses. Even if a parent in good faith attempts to create an equitable division of assets upon their death, you can be sure that the narcissistic sibling, who may have already encroached themselves into the parent's finances, will turn the division of assets into a litigated and unjust nightmare. Narcissistic adult children have no problem launching lawsuits against elderly relatives, elderly siblings, just because they're so obsessed with winning and getting what in their toxic, entitled minds they believe is mine, mine, mine.